Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm starting. All right, welcome to the. There is a nice beer open there. That means we're getting started. Welcome to the Chasing Winners College Football Edition. All right, take number 3 on the intro. Some technical difficulties today, but we're back on the Chasing Winners College Football Edition. Once again, no NFL pod this week. Some scheduling difficulties getting us all 3 here at the same time. But me, Kyle Massaloni, JP Lyon are here to talk some college football again. So, JP, I'm starting to get a little concerned because it feels like a decade ago when I was up 7 games. You're just chipping away at the record here, and it's starting to get real close. So JP, let them know what happened this past week.
Yeah, so this past week, Kyle went 0-6 on his podcast picks. 0-6.
Disaster.
Um, and overall, he went 5-10. I went 8-7 overall, and then 3-3 on my podcast picks. Um, and then he won his best bet. I lost mine. Ryan lost his. So now on the season, Kyle is 44-37 overall, and I am 2 games back now, 42-39. So got 1 game back in week 4. No, week 3. 1 game back in week 3, 1 in week 4, and then 3 in week 5. Almost a Fibonacci sequence there, not quite, but we're looking to kind of break this open this week and really make it a game.
Yeah, and we are recording this. We typically record it at halftime of the NFL Thursday Night Football, but today we're doing it on Wednesday, halftime of a college football game, SMU UCF. SMU's up 13-10. We're both on SMU +3 in the total pick 'em that we have with each other. So
Yep.
fingers crossed they stay in the lead there, but we'll see what happens down the stretch. So let's jump into the big games of the week here. We're going to start off with Tennessee traveling to Death Valley to take on LSU, the real Death Valley, not the one in South Carolina. But Tennessee are 3-point favorites. This is a noon game on ESPN. JP, what are you thinking?
Yeah, so Tennessee's coming into this game off of bye week after their somehow narrow victory against Florida, even though it didn't feel very close for most of that game. LSU coming in off of that win against Auburn last week, where good thing they gave us 8 and 9 points for Auburn, our picks, because Auburn really blew that game, did not look very good. To me, this game, it's so close for the spread. I just think Tennessee's a better football team than LSU, and I trust their offense more. So for me, I don't have a grand system or anything here. It's just Tennessee's probably the better team, so I'm going to take them -3.
Yeah, and LSU since that FSU loss to start the season, the loss that they probably shouldn't have actually lost, that just ridiculous ending. They've fairly, I would say, quietly been 4-0 since then. I mean, it's been kind of LSU Auburn usually isn't an under the radar game, but it felt under the radar this past Saturday. I mean, they've quietly put together a run, beat the Mississippi State team that beat the rails off of Texas A&M. But I'm on your side here. I think Tennessee's the better football team. You know me when I think a team's the better football team, no matter what no matter how crazy the line is, I can't really go against that notion in my head. So, and this line's not crazy at all. I mean, it's going to be a close game, rivalry game in the SEC. I think I heard today it was each of their last 4 or 5 games in Death Valley have been decided within a possession. So, but I'm still on I'm on Tennessee +3 or -3 here. once again just think they're the better football team.
Yeah,
So
that LSU Mississippi State game. I'm pretty sure you were on Mississippi State. I was on LSU. Mississippi State A&M game last week. You mentioned on A&M. I was on Mississippi State. This is just bringing up great memories here.
yeah, I'm not been good. I've not been good with Mississippi State this year, to say the least. Um,
UCF
up,
scored.
damn it. All right. Up next we have the college game day destination of Lawrence, Kansas. We wanted it a few weeks ago for Kansas Duke. We get it now for number 17 Kansas versus number 19 TCU, both undefeated. Battle of the behemoths in the Big Ten. Um,
Big
uh,
12.
in the Big 12. Apologies. TCU beat the brakes off of Oklahoma last week. That was absolutely hilarious. Kansas held on for a win against Iowa State. Only gave up 11 points in the process, including a few missed field goals in there. But
Yeah.
but we're gonna let that slide. Um, TCU is a 7-point favorite on the road. JP, I feel like I just have to keep riding Kansas till it fails me.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward here. I mean, I'm super proud of both of these teams. Um, Easily the best game in the Big 12 this week. Nothing that really comes close to it. Um, Even though I know Farmageddon is a pretty big game. Um, but Kansas -7 against Duke hit for me a couple weeks ago. Kansas +3 or +4 hit for both of us last week. I'm gonna keep riding Kansas here. It feels like a little bit of a letdown spot for TCU, um, coming in off of beating Oklahoma by 31. Um, Third straight sellout for Kansas. I want to say the David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium. Now,
Yes.
it is a glorified high school stadium, but I'm proud of them for selling it out, and I would like them to cover this week.
Da- David Booth,
Hmm.
wherever he is, probably in heaven, got to be proud to see his stadium full.
Yeah,
It's been a while. Kansas +7. Let's keep the fairy tale going. I mean, they're already they're 5 games in. They're already 3 ahead of their win total, or
yeah.
two and a half games ahead of their win total.
It's so this game is TCU 4-0, looking great. Um, their win total was 6.5. Kansas win total was 2.5. They're 5-0. So one of these teams is going to get a win, and that I think whichever team wins this game has a really good fast track to being in the Big 12 championship game. And either of them being in the Big 12 championship game with a chance to win that and potentially go to the Sugar Bowl is very funny to me.
Oh, it is hilarious, especially when you think about what's going on with the next two teams we talk about. Like you mentioned, really not another big game in the Big 12 next week.
No?
Texas, Oklahoma, two unranked teams. It's called the Red River Shootout. They play it at the Cotton Bowl every year, noon on sometimes ABC, sometimes Fox. You never know. This time it's on ABC,
Hmm.
but yeah, two unranked teams. Not much going on here. Oklahoma's 0-2 in conference. Got beaten the brakes off by the powerhouse that is TCU, and then Texas. I mean, they kept it close against Bama earlier in the season, coming off a bounce back win against West Virginia last week. So between these battle of mediocre Big Ten teams, just kidding. They are the powerhouses, but they
Yeah.
won't even be in the Big 12 in a few years. Um, what are your what are your thoughts here?
Well, my thoughts are we're talking about the fourth best game in the Big 12 this week. Um, and it's only the fourth best because Baylor and West Virginia don't play. Um, and I can't decide which of these teams I want to lose more because Oklahoma losing 3 straight games to start conference would be so funny. and Texas losing to an Oklahoma team that already lost 2 straight games to start conference play would be so funny. And they might do it if Texas gets Quinn Ewers back and then loses to Oklahoma. That'd be fantastic. I did
That
see. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that was gonna be my it's the big question coming into the week. Is Quinn Ewers playing in this game? Have you heard anything yet on
I
definitively on that?
I
Or
haven't heard. There's a couple different games in our slate here where both quarterbacks in the game are. It says day to day. They don't know if he's gonna play, and I think Ewers was targeting this game to return. It feels like he's gonna play. It feels like he could have played last week if they needed him to. They obviously didn't. Um, but yeah, it feels like I did see that Texas is planning to wear some purple alternate uniforms this week.
oh
So that's going
God.
to be exciting. Well, not. Well, Oklahoma loses to every purple team.
Oh, you're right. I thought you were dead serious for a second. I was like, where did they get purple from? But
That would be.
yeah,
I mean, just doing that out of the blue would be awesome. Um, but also, I realize this: Texas has lost to every red team they've played. So I have no idea. Texas must have to lose this game, right? Because they lost to Bama, they lost to Texas Tech. They're clearly going to lose. But I'm going to take Quinn Ewers because I don't think Dylan Gabriel's playing, and he didn't look that great when he was out there. So I'm going to take Texas -7.
yeah. I'm on Texas -7 too, especially if Quinn Ewers is back. Hell, even if it's Hudson Card out there, I think they're good enough to pull this off either way. Should be fun in the fourth biggest Big 12 game of the day, according to JP.
It is. I mean, again, Farmageddon, great game, great rivalry. Everyone in the Big 12 loves it, even though Texas fans claim that they don't know what it is. Um, and Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, that could be a sneaky good game too. You never know.
Yeah, I mean Texas Tech did pull off a big win earlier this year, as we know, against Oklahoma. So, I mean against Texas. Wow, I'm a lot on my mind these days. But yeah. So Texas -7 it is for both of us. So next up, 3:30 Fox. I said we weren't going to talk about the Pac-12 until USC Utah comes up, but UCLA kind of dashed my plans there. Um, UCLA really dashed my plans there by beating Washington, being 5-0 to start the season. So we have a big top 20 matchup here. UCLA number 18 hosting number 11 Utah at the Rose Bowl.
Hmm.
So maybe a destination for a bowl game for one of these two teams this year. So actually no, the Rose Bowl isn't a playoff this year, so that is possible.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts here?
Well, I am impressed by the UCLA win last week because neither of us picked that. Um, I will say I don't think UCLA has played anybody other than that, right? Because they've beaten Colorado, South Alabama barely, um, and Washington's probably not that good because they beat Michigan State, who stinks.
Yeah.
On the other side, Utah has kind of come back since that Florida win or loss, um, but they still lost to Florida. So I don't know. I don't watch a lot of Pac-12. I also find it interesting that both of these teams could kind of get caught looking ahead to their next game. Utah plays USC at home next week. UCLA goes on the road to Eugene next week. So both of these teams, it's like this game isn't the biggest game in the next week for them, but it's both teams. So I don't really know. I don't know how to read this game at all. So I'm going to take the home team that's getting 3.5.
So you want to hear my read on this game? I heard this earlier and just looked it up to confirm. The last four meetings, obviously different teams year to year, but there's a pattern of demolition here.
Really?
2021, Utah win 44-24. 2020 they didn't play. 2019 Utah win 49-3. 2018 in Pasadena Utah win 41-10.
Hmm.
2017 Utah win 48-17. Utah has put up over 40 points on UCLA. Hell, and then they put up 52 the year before. So they've put up over 41 points against UCLA for the last 5 meetings against them. Obviously, won them all. One was close. One was close because UCLA ended up putting up 45 in 2017 to keep that one close, or in 2016. But other than that, demolitions.
I, I
The,
do
the,
think I do think UCLA has a capability of scoring more this year, though, considering they've put up 40 in 4 of their 5 games.
yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, but I'm gonna ride that trend here and go
Right.
and go Utah minus 3.5, and it's probably gonna bite me in the ass because I'm picking an away favorite on a short line between two pretty solid teams, but I'm going Utah minus 3.5. So so now a highly anticipated game at the beginning of the season. So much so that CBS chose it as its one primetime SEC game that they get every year. And once again, the line is something else. Texas A&M, of course, last year pulled off the upset over Alabama at home. We got the rematch in Tuscaloosa this year. Alabama are 24-point favorites. I got one matchup that I'm just thinking of here. LSU Alabama 2020 revenge game.
Mm, really? Okay.
I think Bama's going to beat the brakes off them.
I
No remorse.
I think they have to, because I was sitting there this summer and I was watching the Save and Jimbo thing, and I swore to myself, you will never bet on A&M in this next game. October 8th, they're gonna play Alabama, and if you bet on A&M, you need to quit betting forever, because Saban's going to put up 100 points.
Yes.
And this is the other game where you don't know if either quarterback is playing. Max Johnson's hurt. He looked worse than the backup did last week. Well, the backup that started the season for A&M. But I don't like that Bama came in off of a 23-point victory. I didn't like that for other reasons because we were both Arkansas.
What a brutal backdoor. What a vicious backdoor by Bama there. I thought
And
we were safe all game. I thought we were safe with like with like 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Like
yeah, it was not good. That was not fun to to watch on one of my screens there. But A&M coming in off of getting embarrassed, Alabama coming in off of the backup quarterback coming in and putting up 35 points on his own. Doesn't feel like a game that Bama should win by 25. Just based on those numbers, it doesn't feel like that's the game that they're going to kill him. But I know it's Saban and Jimbo, so Saban is going to kill him. So I have to go against my line judgment and go with my brain or my judgment from 3 months ago and say Alabama minus 24.
yeah, there's going to be no remorse shown in this
None.
game. Like zero. If Alabama, I mean Texas A&M, I feel like their defense may be too good to let this happen. If Alabama could put up 100, they would put up 100.
Yeah. Yeah, they would. And I don't know, like, Jimbo can't give up the play calling duties this week, right? I mean, he should. And the entire country knows he should now.
he should have given them up before the season
Well,
started.
yes, we know that, but he should have given it up years ago. But now everyone else knows that, including A&M. So I don't know. I don't think he's going to, but he'll probably hire like an OC in the off season that's going to run the offense, and they'll be okay next year. But I don't think they can just go in this week and say, yeah, you guys don't listen to Jimbo anymore. You listen to the OC, who was just a figurehead before. I don't know. I don't like the vibes.
Impossible to like the vibes in College Station right now, and impossible that Miami lost to them, but also impossible that Miami lost to Middle Tennessee State. But here we are.
There we go.
Anyways, now time to talk about Miami's rival that we've talked about too much this year, and it's disappointing. Both teams in absolute wounded animal mode. 8 o'clock, controversially, in my opinion, on ACC Network because ABC chose the Boston College versus Clemson game instead. Clemson is Clemson. It's their conference. They proved it last week. I get it. But this game is so much more interesting. At least to me. I don't know about you, but
it seems like you're just quoting somebody right there when you say it's Clemson's Clemson, their conference. Are you...
So I'm quoting JP. This is what JP messaged me earlier when I said I was frustrated about this exact channel alignment. But it's a great quote, so I had to say it again. The game is, if you're wondering, it's number 14 NC State hosting Florida State. Both teams coming off of huge in-division losses last week. Just an absolute wounded animal mode. Desperately need a win to keep any hope that they have essentially with competing with Clemson. I don't even think they have. All right, so that's all gonna have to be out.
Hold on, let me watch this play. UCF drove down the field in like a minute 40 to start the half and scored, and then SMU went for it on their 35 or 30 and didn't get it. On 4th and 1, they ran like a pitch play.
Jesus Christ.
And then UCF somehow punted.
Interesting.
To like the 1, and now SMU has the ball. That's your talking the game that's happening right now while we're recording.
All right, so we had to cut somewhere there, but here we go back to wounded animal mode game. JP, what are your thoughts on NC State, Florida State?
I don't have a ton of thoughts. It's not a game that I'm going to be. I'll probably watch it, but I just don't get up for the ACC. It's never been teams or conferences that interest me a ton because it is Clemson's conference. Somebody said that last week before the big game, and they were proven right. I'm going to take NC State here. I'm going to take NC State at home. They're only laying 3. It has to be a bounce back game for both teams, but one of them has to lose. So I'm going to take the team at home, and who I think is just the better team.
Hey, we could have talked about your best friends at BYU instead if you really wanted to do that.
Oh, I'll be talking about that game a little later, Kyle. Don't you worry.
But yeah, I'm on NC State -3 here as well. I feel like it's a no-brainer. I mean, I say that, and then Florida State's going to win by 50. But I said last week NC State's the best team in the conference. I still think they're the second best team in the conference. There is one team that is clearly better than them, but yeah, I got to take NC State -3.
What happens if Florida State wins the ACC?
Then I just go die in a hole. But you'll never hear from me again. but they have a loss to Wake already. They're probably going to lose to Clemson. Fingers crossed they lose to Miami.
This is
But
how I get to be the host next year.
yeah. All right. So moving on from JP's wishes of being host in the future. You said you were going to touch on BYU Notre Dame later. We're on best bets. It seems like this is the spot you were talking about. So here's the floor.
Yeah, it is the spot I was talking about. I'm gonna actually start with Ryan didn't have a best bet this week just because it's Wednesday and college football didn't have it for another few days. He's
And
also off,
it's a
he's
holiday.
also off celebrating a holiday, so shalom to him. Um, I asked in our Discord, or Ryan's Discord, um, his gambling DFS Discord. I asked for picks to talk about. I only got one. Um, they said UCLA is better than Utah, which I agree with. So someone in the Discord is also taking UCLA plus 3.5.
Interesting.
That's the Discord best bet of the week. Maybe I'll continue that. Not like we get any feedback though, so who knows. I am. I was struggling between two picks for my best bets this week. I was trying to decide between South Carolina Kentucky game and the BYU Notre Dame. I think Kentucky bounces back from their loss that shouldn't have happened last week. We all agree that shouldn't have happened, right? They should have won the game.
Yeah.
That should have been a targeting call on Will Levis or Levis.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Just making sure. They did cover for me, so I appreciated it. But Kentucky should have won that game. It should have been first down. I feel like they have to beat the brakes off of South Carolina this week. 9.5 was the spread when I looked at it this morning. But I'm looking at BYU Notre Dame. We all know Notre Dame's not very good. They did win my best bet for me a couple weeks ago. But BYU is plus 3.5 on the road at Notre Dame this week. I like BYU here. I think I'm not going to pretend like I have a bunch of stats to back it up. It's the public and oddmakers overcorrecting for what looked like a bad loss last week. BYU, they won by 12. And they were 26-point favorites, but they still won by 12. And this line is overcorrection, a weird line. Now that I say that, I should definitely take Notre Dame. Doesn't matter. I'm on BYU plus 3.5. That's my best bet this week. Let's go.
All right. I was also deciding between two games here, but they're two games completely off the radar from what you were thinking of probably. Sounds like a typical pattern of me.
Give me that Northwestern minus 10 against Duke. Give me it.
I was actually the other one I was looking at was Duke minus 3.5 until I saw this one and I have to bet against the Army here.
Ooh.
I hate to do it. Absolutely hate to do it. But Wake Forest minus 17 at home against Army. I mean the only thing that'll keep that game close is if Army just runs the clock out with the triple option, which is a possibility. That's what.
Is it possible that like Wake Forest somehow has a letdown spot after a big win last week? Maybe.
It's possible. It's I mean it. That's the only thing I could think of. Letdown spot. You can't call it a look ahead spot because they have a bye week next week, so they're not looking ahead to anything.
Oh, that's a good idea. I'm gonna say last week was a look ahead spot for Baylor. That's why they lost because we were looking ahead to the bye week.
You guys just really wanted that week off. Yeah,
Do you realize that I've picked Baylor wrong every single week they're on the podcast? Every week.
hilarious.
I can't pick it right. I'm gonna pick against them every week now.
Hilarious. So I'm Wake Forest minus 17 against Army is my best bet. I can't believe I'm fading the Army, but it just has to happen.
Is Buchanan still there or no?
Buchanan, the coach.
I thought he was a running back or a fullback.
I'm an idiot. Does not look like he's there.
Feels like he should have graduated by now, but I wasn't sure if he was just like an 8-year senior or something like that. Yeah, that's probably the right bet.
Oh no! Wait.
Don't tell me he's still there.
Jacoby Buchanan,
Yeah,
running back.
that might be. I feel like that's him. You see how long he's been there?
He's been there since 2019.
That's it? Huh.
Yeah.
He's been there way longer, but. Oh yeah, that's the same guy because he got the low man trophy last year.
Yep, he's still at Army.
Well, then they could always win the game outright. You never know.
On that note, we're talking about Army beating Wake outright here. I think it's time to sign off.
Yeah. Does Miami play this week?
Miami does not play this week. It's a bye week.
We both
Oh
get bye
no.
weeks.
Oh no. We play UNC this week.
Ooh.
It could pretty much decide the Coastal. You want to hear a crazy fact?
Mm-hmm.
I told you last week that earlier this week, that the ACC Coastal Division might be the worst division in the history of Power 5 football this year. Miami and UNC are the two top favorites to win the division, playing each other on this Saturday. Big game in the Coastal. Huge.
So, I think the title of the podcast last week was the ACC Atlantic is a juggernaut, like 3 question marks. And now I can make the podcast title this week, the ACC Coastal is the worst division in football.
There we go. Ingenuity.
Now you guys get insight into how I come up with the titles.
And that is where we sign off. We've been on for quite a while now. It seems this is definitely our longest one. We get longer and longer, but it keeps
I
getting
don't think it is
more
our
fun
longest,
and more
honestly.
fun. Oh yeah, I don't think so either because we had the technical difficulties at the start. So so signing off here, everybody. Enjoy the games this weekend, and best of luck.
And subscribe.
And again, this is
Kyle's
why
just
I'm
doing
back.
a bit, guys. He knows, and he just wants me to remind him, so he looks like an idiot.
Like,
Be sure to
share,
subscribe to the channel, like it, share with your friends, retweet my tweet when I tweet it out, even though Kyle doesn't. But grow the channel, and see you next week.
Yeah.